Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we take a look at a project to find two trawlers that sunk just off the coast of Spurn Point during the First World War. And my guest tonight is Jane Wenham-White, who is Head of Income Generation and Marketing at St Andrew's Hospice, here to talk about a national campaign. Welcome to Estuary News, I'm Dan Kemp. Now it's over to Erica Barker for the news headlines.
A new multi-retail development to be built in Grimsby has been given the green light by planners. There's been controversy over plans for the Ramsden's development, with Freshney Place Shopping Centre opposing, saying it would have a negative impact on footfall in the town centre. The planning committee approved the proposal by 6 votes to 5. Hull shopkeeper has praised the local community for pulling together after a Macmillan Cancer Support charity box was stolen. Around £50 was taken, but an anonymous donor has replaced that amount. The owner of the Snackery store on Sibelius Road says they now have plans in the pipeline to raise more for the worthy cause, and that she's been delighted by the response.
We had one chap come in and he said, "Oh, I know my friend's going to give you that money," because we'd estimated it was about £50 that was in the jar because it was quite full. But then what happened on the first day was a gentleman came in, and you saw that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, he came in, he just walked up and he said, "I've just read the article in the paper about the money being taken, really sorry to hear it," and literally just put £50 on that counter there, turned around and went to walk straight out. Angela said, "Please, well, stop a minute." He said, "I don't want my name mentioning or anything like that." So she shouted at her husband and she said, "Steve, come and shake his hand," and she gave him a hug, and that was it, he left.
And he left.
Didn't want his name mentioning.
The number of people taking up walking as a pastime in East Yorkshire and Northern Lincolnshire has fallen. That's according to an Ordnance Survey report. The Grimsby and Louth District Ramblers group are encouraging younger people to get their walking boots on and join the club, which meets regularly, exploring the beautiful views that the region has to offer.
Well, I think the young have got more money, haven't they, and more things to do with the money than...
It's the electronic age, isn't it? Everybody playing with their smartphones and tablets and the left and right. And they're not walking, they're not doing exercise. And it's not even the same at schools, isn't it? They're not doing PE as they should do in sports. It's the general situation, really.
Well, if you have any stories, you can contact us on 01472 315561. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you, Erica. A group of divers from Northern Lincolnshire are set to uncover the stories behind two lost trawlers that sank just north of Spurn Point in World War I this weekend. It's part of a larger project to find out what really happened to the thousands of fishermen who died at sea. Erica Barker went along to find out more.
The face of Grimsby's dock has changed since the fishing industry went into decline many years ago. It's thought that 375 trawlers from our region were lost at sea. Divers from the shipwrecks of the River Humber Group, who are leading the Grimsby's Lost Ships of World War I project, are working to identify the vessels, dive down to the wrecks and tell the story of their crew.
It's important because these people went out and they were fishing. They weren't fighting, they were fishing. Most of them were just out catching food for the country. Some of them were minesweeping, but the majority of them were just fishermen. As far as we know, the ones off the east coast here, none of them have been positively identified. So if we can put a name to them and tell the people where they are, at least it will give closure to some of the descendants of the families that were lost.
They've received over £150,000 in funding from the Heritage Group, but Kevin says the task is no mean feat.
A lot of research all over, Public Records Office in Kew, the local libraries. We've got people buried in the cemeteries, which gives us an idea of where they came from. And on the internet, nobody has ever collated it all together and put it into one place where people can look and say that's what happened to them. It's scattered all over. So we want to put it all together, write a book, we're doing a film, and hopefully by the time we finish, everybody will know what happened to the trawlers from Grimsby.
Thank you, Erica. Now there's a new social media campaign doing the rounds at the moment. #NotDingy is a national campaign to combat the stereotypes about hospices, instead trying to portray them as friendly, happy places. With me now in the studio to talk about one such hospice is Jane Wenham-White. Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
Firstly, tell us a little bit about the hospice that you're representing then.
I'm from St Andrew's Hospice in Grimsby, and we're a children's hospice and an adult hospice, and we cover the geographical area of Lincolnshire, Hull and East Yorkshire.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this campaign then. How did it spark off? Where does it come from?
Well, what happened was two of the big sort of soap operas, I think it was Casualty and EastEnders, and actually I think some years ago also Coronation Street, have portrayed hospices as being, if you like, dingy, scary, nasty places, something that the hospice movement has been trying to actually eradicate that notion for many, many years. And so Hospice UK, who actually is the umbrella organisation for adult hospices throughout the country, decided to start this #NotDingy campaign, and lots of hospices have been actually posting photographs of happy smiling faces of people actually making the most of their lives for as long as they've got. And we have joined in that, if you like, because having spent the last 20 odd years of my working life trying to actually encourage people to come to the hospice, to actually make them realise that actually the hospice is there full of joy, happiness, and a place where people really make the very most of their lives. A campaign like this, hopefully will actually re-educate you, but soap operas are just so well watched by many people. It's really quite disappointing that intelligent people, researchers would actually portray hospices in this day and age in that negative light.
And how frustrating is it for you then? You've said you've put so much work in over the last X amount of years to make sure people don't see hospices in this way. How frustrating is it that people...
It's really frustrating because we have many patients that have come to the hospice in the past who said, if only I'd known what it was like 6 months ago, I could have benefited from the services all that time during my illness. But there's a real reluctance because of this sort of negative notion about what a hospice does and what they mean. Because I think of in the past, when they first started, perhaps they were not as pleasant and as open and as hopeful as they are perhaps today.
Okay, you touched on it briefly a minute ago. What kind of things are you doing as a hospice now to, I suppose, combat this and make sure people know it's not dingy?
Well, we've been posting all sorts of positive comments that we receive from patients and their families. We have actually just, over the last 12 months, been developing a whole new hospice, really updating our services in an attempt as well to actually embrace more people and to be able to help more people in this locality during a difficult time for everybody.
Okay, do you understand why people, I suppose, have this perception, or TV producers have this perception that it is a dingy place? Because I've seen St Andrew's Hospice and I don't think that.
No.
Why do you think people
I think
this
it's perhaps the sort of the negativity and the reluctance to talk about death that we have in sort of Western countries in general. And so it's hospice, I think originally when they first started in sort of the late 1970s, were very much a place where people actually spent time very much in the last days of their life. Whereas as hospices have developed now, hospices are providing care for patients for much, much longer than just the last few days of their lives, and really trying to enable people to live for as long as possible in their own homes and make the best of their lives. And children's hospice as well, a completely different kettle of fish altogether, because of course children may be referred to the hospice when they're babies, but may live until their sort of 20s, 30s these days with medical advances.
Okay, and you put on all sorts of events, I suppose, to again get rid of this stereotype of dinginess, which again I don't see that stereotype. I don't know where it's coming from, but what are you doing?
I think lots of people who've actually, we're very much reliant upon the general public, I must say. We get very little statutory funding, and many of the people who have benefited from the hospice or know somebody who's benefited, they really want to put something back into and make sure the hospice can continue to provide care for other people going forward. And so we have lots of events that people organise on our behalf. We can't do it all ourselves. We're really reliant upon our supporters in the community. I'd just like to say how grateful we are to everybody who does support us.
Of course, and on your website you do things like Smile of the Week.
Absolutely,
as
yes.
well. How important is it to
try and combat this? It's a nice place to come. People are happy and smiling, and people are making the very, very best of life. I think when people actually are given a life-limiting diagnosis, it makes people really sort of focus on making the most of each day.
I suppose you've got your ambassador George as well. He's someone that maybe, if you looked at him, you wouldn't be feeling very dingy, I don't think.
Absolutely not. And he's an inspiration. The fact that his father died only 2 years ago, and he's done so much to support the hospice. His way of saying thank you for his support we gave his mother and himself at that time. And hopefully he's got an awful lot out of it as well. He's doing all sorts of different things. But he is an inspiration. But he is a testament to actually the sort of support we can give to families.
And that's exactly what you want people to see in this campaign as well, isn't it?
Positive,
see the smiles on people's faces.
Yes. Absolutely, yeah. And positivity can have negativity as well, I think is really important, There's always a bright side to everything.
Of course, yes. Also, you've got different events coming up over the next couple of months, as you have several events throughout the year.
Yes.
And one I noticed on your website was a polo festival.
Oh,
now that's
very exciting,
that's
isn't
a bit
it?
different, isn't it?
Yes, we've got a polo weekend at North Kelsey, and you can buy tickets online. It's £12 for adults on Saturday and £10 for adults on Sunday, and £5 for children on both days. There's going to be polo throughout the day, and lots of entertainment for the children. Saturday's a hog roast, and Callum Scott, the singer from Britain's Got Talent, is also performing on Saturday evening as well. So we've got a limited number of tickets, so please go to our website and purchase your tickets in time for that event. It should be really good fun.
Okay, it's a nice all-around activity there for
Absolutely,
families, children, adults, everyone to get involved in.
Yes.
And again, that's not dingy either, is it?
And so, it's what it's all about. It's about family fun and supporting people.
Okay, why polo as well?
Again, because somebody who was willing to polo had experience of the hospice and wanted to support us.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Jane. We'll be back with you very shortly, and we'll speak to you again in a minute.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You're watching Estuary News. Coming up later, Erica Barker will bring you all the latest sports news, and we'll be back with Jane to talk more about #NotDingy and the hospice. Next up on the show, it's been revealed that the Sports Direct store in Grimsby's Freshney Place shopping centre is to shut. It's expected to close its doors this October, with the other existing shop on Victoria Street remaining open. We went out onto the streets of Grimsby to hear what the public think of the move.
It's a really good shop. I always go in there, to be honest, just to buy, shoes and things. But yeah, I think it's pretty sad actually.
It's a shame. It's a very big shame. To be honest, it might affect the people that are going there. So I'm hoping somebody else will take the place.
Well, to be fair, it's the same as all these sort of places. They're all right in the 70s and 80s, but they're outmoded. They're out fashion.
I think they're charging too much rent and things like that, so people are just moving out of the area and trying to go to these bigger out-of-town places or whatever, so because it's cheaper.
My son's always going there for the for the trainers and that, and it's nice. It's just the right place for it and all for all the sports equipment.
There's more and more empty shops in the markets. There's a lot more stalls empty, so it does seem to be going downhill a bit.
I use Sports Direct a lot, although we have got another one out of town, just a little bit further down Victoria Street, haven't we? So, no, it's a bit sad, really. I mean, they're all leaving, aren't they? The shop's just it's getting a bit more difficult to shop, because all the big shops are just going, don't know why.
I know we're going to end up with is second-hand shops, charity shops, and it's not good for business.
Yeah, I think it'd be a bit of a shame. It's quite a good discount store, really. Yeah, it's always got sales on in there. As you can tell by the way I'm dressed, it's a shop I do use quite a lot. So yeah, I think it'd be quite a shame.
One or two shops will notice that they're starting to close down, but sign of the times, maybe they shop on the computers, don't they?
Now, still with me in the studio is Jane Wenham-White from St Andrew's Hospice. Still here, you've not gone just yet.
No, I haven't.
Right, tell us a little bit about then. You've got a new building you're trying to work on completing. You're getting people to buy bricks. Tell us a little bit about where you're at with that.
Well, after 7 years of planning, we decided last April we were going to have to seize the nettle because there was rain coming through the ceiling in the old hospice. It was the old Courthouse Sports and Social Club, so it wasn't purpose-built. So we decided, despite the fact obviously money is always tight, and not a great time for fundraising either, we had to go for it. And so we started building a new hospice around the children's hospice for adults last April, and that was completed this April. It took 12 months. And we've used most of our reserves to actually fully fund that because we weren't able to raise sufficient funds actually in fundraising terms. So we really are up against it now. People have been really supportive, and they've bought bricks and they've bought slabs and they've bought leaves to try and help us to raise the money, but we still need more money. We've completed the first part, which has actually increased our beds by 50%, so we've now got 12 beds rather than 8 for adult patients. And we're also trialling transition beds for those children moving from children's services into adult services, which is a big thing in the children's hospice world. But we're now building a health and wellbeing centre, again attached to the children's hospice, to provide even more services and facilities for children and adults of all ages. So there'll be a gym, there'll be a dance studio, lymphedema clinics, a resistance pool, all sorts of equipment that will actually help people to maintain their mobility for as long as possible.
Because obviously you've got to cope with a number of different issues with the different people that come into the hospice, and that must be why you need to put on such a vast array of different facilities.
I mean, I think we're very conscious of the fact that there was a lot of money government money ploughed into sort of the care of cancer patients, but we were very conscious of the fact that if you haven't got a cancer diagnosis and you've got one of them, a myriad of other illnesses, there were very few services out there. So the hospice movement in general, but us in particular, have very much tried to embrace people with all types of illnesses. So, and clearly, depending on the illness, there's all sorts of different needs. So quite rightly, yes, we need lots of different equipment.
Okay, so just go through it again. What have we got to look forward to at St Andrew's Hospice coming up then? Coming
up, we're hoping by the end of this year we'll have a health and wellbeing centre, and that will be open to patients and their relatives of all ages who have a life-limiting illness and would use hospice services. Okay, and obviously these are all things that rely on a vast amount of community support, which St Andrew's Hospice does generally as well. Yes. How vital is it? I can see your face going there. Please. What can you say? If anybody can donate to help, whether it's a personal donation, whether it's to organise an event or whatever they're doing, if they would support it, we'd be really appreciative. We're trying to actually reach the £1 million by December, and we're about 600,000, so we're a long way off yet. So if anybody listening out there can do anything, then please help us.
It seems such a long way off as well, but with the support you're getting already, it must keep you optimistic for the future to make sure you do hit all of these targets.
I have to remain optimistic. I have to have a cup half full, otherwise I'd never sleep at night, because it is difficult and it's very, very competitive out there because there are lots of other good charities as well. And we really do need everybody's help, so please get behind us.
Okay, one person that's been giving you help, we had Ted Ford in on this sofa, just where you all sat this time yesterday. And he was talking about raising, I think it was £1,000
he did, yes, with
he'd raised
gardens.
over a weekend for an open gardens.
Yeah.
Did you get along to that? Did you get to see?
I didn't personally, but some of my team were there and it was fantastic. He's got fantastic murals on the walls in the garden as well. He's done it on several occasions previously, but I think his wife's told him now he's got to hang up his trowel because actually he's getting a little bit old and he puts in so much work and effort. And that's again, we need, lots of people who have supported us are getting older now. We need young people to actually come and replace those people. Now they're no longer able to help us. So young people out there, we need your help too.
I'm sure he told me he'd done, I think it was 1,000 hours or 1,000 days of work for the hospice. I think he started
as a gardener.
I think he started working to build the original hospice. Was that right?
I'm not sure. I think he's been involved for a very long time, and he's very, very supportive of the hospice. But it's been great this week. We've had national citizenship students in, and they've been doing some weeding in the garden. So it's really nice to see some young people around the hospice, doing some actual sort of helping us out. So.
And at some point, these young people are going to be the fundraisers of the future. So
I do hope so.
What are you kind of doing with the hospice to, I suppose, ensure you've got these people helping? Is there anything you can do, or is it?
I think it's just a matter of touching as many people as possible, and actually we spend a lot of time going into schools and colleges and talking to them. We do work with the Grimsby Institute as well in terms of their beauty students come in and actually do beauty sessions with our patients. So we're really trying to actually make sure that enough people know about the work of the hospice so that they will think of us if they're doing any fundraising.
Okay, I think the Grimsby Institute downstairs here actually did an event at the weekend to raise £20,000.
Yeah, which is phenomenal.
It's just it's a phenomenal even amount of money.
It is a phenomenal amount of money, except that we actually need £10,000 a day to actually operate the hospice. So it is fantastic. But £10,000 a day is what we actually need. So, we're obviously reliant upon legacies and trust income and all sorts of different things, our weekly lottery, our shops, which are hugely successful. But it's actually trying to actually find more and more income streams that actually we've got some kind of control over as well to make sure we're sustainable for the future.
Of course, you had the shop and drop. Is shop and drop the right word?
That's right, yes.
That facility was opened, I think it was last year. I went on to the opening of that.
Yes.
How's that kind of shaping up?
Well, we actually were a bit sort of, initially we were actually sort of shot in the foot by our own success, really, because we had so much so many donations coming in. We've actually sort of looking above the bags because there was so much stuff. We actually have now sorted that and got some processes in place to actually filter out all the donations out to the other shops. And it's been really, really successful. It's been great. And a lot of the local companies have also helped us sort of giving stock they bring out of houses and then actually sort of donating it to the hospice. So hugely successful.
Is that another successful gateway for getting people involved in the hospice volunteering wise as well? Because I think there was someone I spoke to in there when I was at the opening.
Yes.
That had kind of taken it on. That was their first day.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people, again, because of the misconceptions, are a little bit leery about actually perhaps working in the hospice itself, whereas they can actually work in our shops, like a shop and drop, and contribute actually out in the community, which is great too. Okay, and how well supported are you? You're saying there's a lot of money being bandied about here. Is there ever a fear that the hospice maybe will go off people's radar, and do you think there are other charities that maybe don't get as much support or seemingly get as much support and maybe put their money their way instead? Is that ever a worry? There's always that fear. because we are in competition, with disposable income in general, really. I think, if a world disaster happens, then obviously it's going to affect local charities like ourselves. But I do think that, people locally, hospices, our unique selling point is actually we are truly a local charity. There aren't many charities locally that are truly local. Maybe branches of national charities, but they're not truly local. And so that's our unique selling point. You can actually come and see us, touch us, and experience the hospice firsthand.
Okay, and finally, if people do want to get behind this mirage of what people think a hospice is by watching things like EastEnders, yes. How can they come along and, I suppose, see what really is happening there?
Well, the best thing to do is just give us a call. Come and look for yourself. We're always very pleased to show people around. Give us a call, or post positive things on social networking sites about the hospice if you've actually had experience of it, or you know what you know about hospice work for hospices. We'd be grateful for any support.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Now here's Erica Barker with the sport.
Championship side Hull City beat League 2 Accrington Stanley on penalties to reach the League Cup second round. Hull's Arsenal loanee Trevor Akpom broke the deadlock shortly into extra time, but Matt Crooks equalised. Greg Lewis' header put Hull back in front, but Terry Gornell took the game to penalties. Both sides missed 2 of their first 5 penalties to send the spot kicks into sudden death before Crooks fired over after Curtis Davies scored. Well, Grimsby cruised to victory over newly promoted Barrow at Blundell Park as 4-1 winners. Emma Bogle set the tone, doubling the lead for last season's beaten playoff finalists. Scunthorpe now, and Scunthorpe United's manager Mark Robbins said he felt his side did enough to emerge victorious in the penalty defeat against Barnsley. It was a tale of penalties as the Tykes saw their first saved but dispatched the second before Paddy Madden equalised via the same format. Well, no further goals meant there were a further 18 penalties witnessed, which saw Barnsley win 7-6 on spot kicks. North Ferriby United inflicted a second consecutive National League North defeat on Chorley. The villagers scored a convincing 4-0 victory over Chorley with a Curtis Bateson hat-trick. Well, if you have any stories, get in touch on news@estuary.tv, or you can always give us a call on Grimsby 01472 315561. Until next time.
That's it for tonight. My thanks to Jane Wenham-White from St Andrew's Hospice. If you've got a news story, then visit our Facebook or Twitter pages, details on the screen, or email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 315553. Until tomorrow, good evening.
I want to see Grimsby put on the map.
Extraordinary qualities, unmatched in anywhere else in Britain.
We need to act with one voice.
I was absolutely shocked, I'll tell you the truth.
More police officer hours spent on patrol preventing crimes from happening.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. A bright start with any mist and fog soon clearing, afternoon rain and feeling breezy with highs of 21 degrees, warm and humid with outbreaks of rain on Friday.